Principal Secretary Abu Bakr, together with your co-host for taking us through that session. Your Excellency, President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, our Prime Cabinet Secretary and Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs, Musalia Mudavadi, Your Excellency, the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Foreign Affairs, Antonio Tajani, my colleague Cabinet Secretaries, Principal Secretaries, senior government officials here present, and the business community. Allow me to take this opportunity first to thank all of you for being part of this very important business session. Your Excellency, in the morning, we had several visits to some of the places where they are very good in agriculture, in energy, and value addition. I participated in the one for agriculture, and I want to confirm that indeed we have a lot we can be able to learn and work together. And the history of Kenya and Italy is very long. As was said earlier in the day, most of our rural areas, the priests who actually came were actually speaking only Italian, and we had to translate to know what God had said. So we still have very fond memories. In my own hometown, there's a small church that is built in a place called Maimahio. It's a very small church. It was built by the prisoners of war in 1942. It still remains a very important site where visitors still visit every day. And therefore, our bonds are unbreakable. And we are here to now look at the commercial side and to get our business people to talk one-to-one and be able to create the necessary linkages. So I wish to take this opportunity to underscore today's engagements that have demonstrated the strong and growing partnership between Kenya and Italy, anchored on shared opportunities in trade, investment, innovation, and sustainable development. The discussions and interactions we have witnessed today reaffirm the immense potential that exists for deeper collaboration between our two countries. We have nearly 220 Italian companies present here, showing great interest in this forum. I confirm that Italy brought one of the biggest delegations in the just concluded Kenya International Investments Conference that was held in Nairobi last year. Over 70 companies were represented. I want to take this opportunity to salute them for the confidence they have demonstrated in our economy. I confirm that my ministry's singular role is to convert interest to tangible opportunities, and the investment promotion agency, Invest Kenya, will be deployed to fully follow up on all the leads that were generated both in Nairobi and also here. Indeed, this forum has provided a valuable platform for connecting investors from Kenya, institutions, business people, and also translating dialogue into tangible opportunities. We are particularly encouraged by the commitment shown by both public and private sectors to advance mutually beneficial partnerships. Distinguished guests, it is also my distinguished honor to announce the just signed MOU between our Equity Bank and CDP Bank, where over 40 million will be availed for business people participating in this forum, and also to help strengthen the trade, because a lot of times when the trade deals are signed, without the necessary financial infrastructure to support it, we may not see it take off. So this is one area where we are both signing the trade agreement, but also giving the facilitation necessary. And I want to congratulate the two banks for that very critical stage. Ladies and gentlemen, I now have the opportunity to invite the Prime Cabinet Secretary and the Cabinet Secretary for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs of Kenya, the Honorable Dr. Musalia Mudavadi, to deliver his remarks and proceed from there. Welcome.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable William Samoei Ruto, the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of Italy, distinguished colleagues from Kenya and our partners and potential partners from Italy. Good evening. I'm sure you're all familiar with the famous phrase that Rome was not built in a day. And whoever made that statement was, in my view, looking at the resilience of Italy, the hard task that it takes to put up a nation, how meticulous you must be. And indeed, even as we go through the streets of Rome, we can still see the cobblestone that was placed there one at a time, and the very magnificent structures that have stood the test of time. So equally, the relationship between Kenya and Rome was not built in a day. It has taken 60 years of very strong partnership and collaboration between our two countries. And that is why we are here, so that we can look at the next phase of our partnership. So I do not want to say too much, because we want the business deals to flow and to be signed. So I will take this opportunity to invite the Deputy Prime Minister, Antonio Tajani, to come forward and tell us how the cobblestones were put together to build Rome. And then thereafter, we shall invite His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, to make the closing remarks. The Honorable Prime Minister. Thank you.
Signor Presidente,
Mr. President, Mr. Prime Minister, dear friends, ministers, and very dear friends from the delegation of Kenya, dear businessmen. This business forum ends a day that marks a fundamental time in the relations between Kenya and Italy. I took part in the meetings of the President and Prime Minister with the President Mattarella and the Prime Minister Meloni. Two important, very important meetings that marked the strengthening of the political and economic relations between two countries that have always been friends, and they wish to keep working together to grow their economies and provide positive answers to Italian and Kenyan citizens. Very positive meetings, which ended by signing an important agreement that will pave the way to more meetings and more deals, both political and economic agreements that will strengthen the friendship between our two countries. Mr. President, I really wish to stress to what extent for our government and for Italians as a whole, Africa is a fundamental continent, is a key continent. It is the continent which is in front of us, overlooking the Mediterranean, a continent that has always shown to be very attentive and has always shown a great interest for Italy and for Europe. So we cannot disregard this request for friendship and the attention that the continent has shown vis-à-vis us. It would be a very serious political and strategic mistake not to consider Africa as a key partner for us. I've been doing this since I was a European Commissioner for Transport and Industry. And I'm doing this today as a Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Foreign Affairs and International Trade. We believe in the democracy of growth. This is a book that has just been published by my ministry that deals with the destination Africa. And this is a book published by our Nairobi embassy that is devoted to Kenya, to explain and to invite Italian businesses, large, medium, and small businesses to look at your country with the greater and greater attention, together with the African continent as a whole. Dear Mr. President, you will certainly know that the headquarters of the Italian television is in Nairobi, which shows that Nairobi and Kenya are for us a major reference point, and we wish to be so even more. So a bridge also to talk to other African countries for the role that you play. Mr. President, Italy is the second-ranking industrial power in Europe. Following China, we are the country in the world with the broader variety of productions and products. So we really wish to rely on the quality of our know-how, and we wish to rely on the ability to produce high-quality products. And we look with great interest to your market, because it is a growing market, it is a young market, a market with an extraordinary potential. So, Mr. President, we need you. Your country is rich in raw materials. It is an industrial country like Italy, where there are industrial companies and agricultural companies as well. And I mean, countries such as ours, we cannot do without raw materials. Without raw materials, we cannot be competitive. So we need to look at your extraordinary potential with great attention. And as a friendly, with a very friendly relation on a win-win basis. So with a win-win approach, allowing you to leverage and make the best use of the resources available in your land, using our know-how. And so thanks to our know-how, we can build a project of economic and industrial growth. We should not think that raw materials are just taken here to Italy. Raw materials must be processed where they are, where they're available. Also, thanks to our know-how through joint ventures, allowing Italian and Kenyan businesses to work together and to grow the economies of both countries, creating jobs. And then we can bring the raw materials that we buy to Italy to make our system more competitive. So we can make both systems more competitive, working hand in hand as brothers who wish to build together a different future. We've been talking about tourism a lot. Tourism facilitates personal relations. There are many Italians who spend their holidays in Kenya, and we are also happy to welcome in our country Kenyan diaspora. There are very good workers and qualified technicians, skilled technicians. We could also plan a direct Nairobi Rome flight. So there are so many sectors in which we can work together. And I'm saying this to Italian businesses. Our embassy and the ministry will support and will take you, will come to Kenya with you so that you can carry out your project and you can export quality Italian products, and you will be able to invest. As Mrs. Corradini pointed out before, internationalize does not mean relocate. It is the opposite. We want our companies to internationalize, so they must invest and not just export, to produce also in friendly countries such as Kenya, because this is a win-win agreement. We can create jobs, we can create wealth and well-being for our companies. So our commitment as a ministry, together with CDP, with the Foreign Trade Agency and CMEST and SACE, our goal is to support you in order to and to take you there, analyzing the opportunities for trade between Rome and Nairobi. This will allow you to operate better, invest better, and do a better business. And none of you will ever have to feel alone when operating in Kenya or any other countries in the world. The reform of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that started operating on January 1st, we have a general department for growth, which follows and supports all Italian companies throughout the world so that they can feel they are strong and they are supported by the government. So we have an operating room working 24 hours a day to provide responses to businesses who need operation. There is a new office of CDP in Nairobi, and this, which is good news. We believe in Kenya, we believe in the government of Kenya, and we have a great relations, and I'm sure that in the future we can keep implementing big projects, great projects, which can be useful for both our countries, and they can also be useful to build the peace. I always quote a statement from a French philosopher, where goods go through, where weapons do not go through. So we are countries that focus on economy and trade. So we are also ready to receive your products, welcome your products, and to increase investments also from your country to Italy. So it has not to be a one-way relation. It has to be a bilateral, a two-way relation. We are ready to welcome your businesses interested in having joint ventures in our country. We can work together in so many sectors. We mentioned coffee. Healthcare has not been mentioned enough, but I think that the Gruppo San Donato can work a lot for healthcare. The protection of the citizens' health is important. Africa cannot have life expectancies that are so short as they currently are. We need to do more. Mr. President, you know that Italy finances the Gavi project for the production of vaccines in Africa to make life expectancy longer for African children. We cannot accept for children to live just 2 or 3 years. So we have this responsibility, being a friendly country of Africa, to provide responses also in the sector of healthcare and health in general. This is maybe the most important thing. We have been talking with the president about the humanitarian aid that Italy is taking to Sudan through the Italy for Sudan operation. And the president has pointed out how important it is to curb the sufferings of a country that is affected by war. So we do not have just business purposes, but also politics to safeguard the rights of peoples to live in peace and help people who suffer when we can. This is a duty for all of us. I appreciated a lot what you said, Mr. President, talking about Sudan. You are playing a very important role to contribute, as our Prime Minister mentioned, to bringing peace in the countries around you. We want to help you and we want to support you because we have a common goal: enough with deaths and enough with disasters. These statements must be certainly accompanied by strong actions, and we are ready to invest. As I said some days ago, a ship, an Italian ship with food aid arrived in Nairobi and on Christmas, also a plane with aid for children. We don't want to see camps where just children or women live because men are fighting some war or maybe are dead. I think that this forum, I mean, it's a long day of cooperation between Kenya and Italy, and it also brings a message of peace. It's not just the mere economic interest. There is a vision for Africa and for Europe, and a vision of neighboring countries and neighboring continents that must live in peace and must be lighthouses for the world. Africa has extraordinary potential. We have the duty to help all the African peoples so that through our know-how, they may really increase and fulfill their potentials. It will not just be to benefit African peoples, but also to us and for the world as a whole. So with gratitude, I wish to thank you for honoring us with your participation in this business forum. And I thank the Prime Minister, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and I want to thank all of you, all the Kenyan businesses. You are always welcome among Italian businesses. You will always find friends to do business with, but also for personal and human relations, which are the most important thing for all human beings. We were not born to live alone. We were born to live together with other people, and together with other people, we need to build something positive. Today, we certainly did something great because it was a very positive day. Thank you so much, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Mr. Deputy Prime Minister, officials from Kenya and Italy, Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I'm very happy to be here this evening to finally wrap up this very important session of the Business Forum that has brought together business people, entrepreneurs from Kenya and Italy together in one room to sample the opportunities that are available for us to undertake, working together as one team. I am truly grateful that we have a full room here. It's one of the most well-attended business fora I have attended anywhere. And it speaks to the confidence that has been developed between both the Italian business community and the Kenyan business community. And it serves as an encouragement to those of us who are policymakers that we have a real opportunity. When business steps up, then it makes work very easy for those of us in the policymaking space. The numbers, as has been said here earlier, are very encouraging. We are seeing opportunities of growth, both in exports from Kenya and also in the business opportunities that are being undertaken by Italian business entities. We now have close to 50 major Italian business entities doing business and operating out of Nairobi. We just opened the office the other day of MedO Foundation that will again continue to build synergies between Kenyan companies and Italian companies as we look at the opportunities that exist for investment. Let me say a couple of things by way of opportunities that are available in Kenya. I know the CEO of Kenya Investment Authority, who is here in this meeting, that gentleman there has explained to you investment-ready opportunities, bankable opportunities that are available in Kenya that are awaiting investors, joint partnerships, public-private partnerships to undertake those investment opportunities. And the coming together of the business communities of these two countries, one from Africa and the other from Europe, not only opens opportunity for Kenya and Italy, but it also opens opportunity for European market to the Africa continental market. So when you see an opportunity in Kenya, it's not just in Kenya, it's actually a door to the East African community, a population of 330 million people, to COMESA, which is a population of 680 million people, and to the African continent, a population of 1.4 billion people with a GDP of $3.7 trillion. So as you sit in this room, there is huge opportunity for your businesses, both in Kenya to the African continent and in Italy to the European market. Aside from the opportunities that have been mentioned by the Kenya Investment Authority, from a public sector, we have rolled out 3 major programs that have significant investment opportunities. We are looking to generate 10,000 megawatts of energy from geothermal, wind, solar, and hydro. The opportunities are available for you to sample. We are not only profiling those opportunities for generation of energy, but we are also ready to co-invest with you. Those who are ready to invest in that space, so that you know that we mean business, and so that you know that we are ready to risk our own resources. We're going to put in our own resources as Kenya to support the investment in energy generation. We're not only putting on our own investment money, but we are providing an offtake mechanism that guarantees that the investment you make will have a return that is guaranteed by the government of Kenya. We have investment opportunities in water harvesting, water storage, and water reticulation. This is largely for commercial purposes of irrigation and food production. These are not social projects. These are commercial projects. We have investment opportunities to build 50 mega dams to de-risk or to make it bankable. We are prepared to put in for every investment up to 20% of the investment by the government of Kenya. And we are looking at different instruments now. I know for a very long time, many companies expected that we are going to borrow money and then hire contractors to do the projects. We are re-engineering that space. For social projects, that's going to be the case. But for commercial projects, we are looking at new instruments, investment instruments, public-private partnerships, joint ventures to work on these opportunities. And the reason why we are rethinking the development infrastructure in not just Kenya, but in our continent, is because fiscal space in our budgets is shrinking. And we do not want a competition between commercial projects that are commercially viable, crowding out social projects like education, health, and social services from our budgets. So projects that are commercially viable, we want to work with the private sector. And that is why we want the private sector at the heart of development, so that public projects become investable commercial projects. So we have opportunities in generation of energy. We have opportunities in water harvesting. And we also have opportunities in transport and logistics. We just announced a tender to do the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport afresh. We're looking for investors who are ready to invest with us. We are equally going to invest as government of Kenya because it's a commercially viable entity. And we are also looking at people who are ready to invest in our ports. We're looking at people who are ready to invest in our transport corridor, especially the superhighways with tolling. So we're looking at another 2,800 kilometers of toll road in Kenya. And we are looking for people to work with us, invest with us. And so that you're confident, you're not going to invest alone. We're going to invest with you. We're going to put in our own investment as other investors are putting in their investment. And why do I say these opportunities are good for Italian businesses as they are good for joint venture companies that will come from the Kenyan side? I can give you 3 or 4 reasons why this is a good place to invest. Number one is that Kenya is the 6th largest economy in our continent. And number two, we have our macros that are very stable. We have our exchange rate that is stable. Inflation has been around 4% for the last 3 years. We have managed to stabilize our dollar exchange rate. We have managed to stabilize our interest rates. And number two, if you're looking for a destination where your investment has reduced carbon footprint, Kenya has 93% of our grid as renewable energy. So if you are looking at decarbonizing your companies and your investments, Kenya is the right place to deploy your investment, because you not only have the benefit of returns in terms of money, but you also have benefits of decarbonizing your businesses and your investments. Number three, we are a robustly democratic country. You can count on the Kenyan judicial system to protect your investment. And additional to that, we have worked on protection of investment treaty between Kenya and Italy, and also avoidance of double taxation. So there is a legal and a framework that enables your businesses to operate in a manner that is protected. Rule of law is a significant issue. People want the confidence that their investment cannot be appropriated one morning by somebody. You know that your investment is protected, and the rule of law is as much a part of Kenya as it is a part of Italy. One more reason why I believe your investment is the right place in Kenya is that we have one of the best human capital anywhere in the world. If you want hardworking people, you will find them in Kenya. If you want intelligent, people, you will find them in Kenya. And we have one of the best education system anywhere in the world, and we keep working with the best. The reason why this afternoon I was discussing with the Prime Minister Meloni on the need to collaborate in matters research, innovation, science between Kenya, and we've just signed an instrument to facilitate greater collaboration in the space of science, research, innovation with Italy. We are also tapping into Italian equipment to train our technical training students so that we sharpen their skills and make sure they are ready for business. So we have a solid, and I'm very proud of the Kenyan human capital. If you ask any company, any global company, they will tell you when they have a choice to hire a Kenyan and somebody else, they will hire Kenya. Let me also mention to you that Kenya opens doors to a very big market, present and future. Just for your information, by 2050, a quarter of the world's population will be living in Africa. By 2050. So if you are looking for market for your products, this is the time to have a footprint in Africa. And this is the opportunity for you to set it up in Kenya, because it will serve the present and it will also guarantee the future. And I believe that this is the opportunity for you if you're thinking about market and if you're thinking about the future. That is where the future is, and that's where the future market is. And just for your information, Africa has been fragmented for a long time, but today we have built a trade infrastructure around the Africa Continental Free Trade Area that consolidates the 1.4 billion people in the African continent into one single market. And therefore, there is opportunity for you to think about it in that manner. And finally, as we look at building synergies between Europe and Africa, we are a continent rich in raw materials, from minerals to oil to energy, name it. And we are all agreed, and I remember having a conversation with President Mattarella in the presence of the Deputy Prime Minister here, that it is now a fact that we all agree that it doesn't serve Europe or any other place to transport raw materials from Africa to anywhere. It makes logic, it makes business sense, it is the responsible thing to do, to process whatever it is in Africa, whether it is minerals or it is other raw materials. It makes sense for it to happen in the African continent because that's where the raw materials are, that's where you have energy, that's where you have the human capital, you have the men and women to work on it. Because doing it otherwise doesn't work. Because if you transport opportunities for jobs from Africa into Europe, then you will force the young people in Africa to come to Europe. And you know what that means. The consequences are not very good for anybody. So it's just a responsible thing to do, is to make sure that we keep the jobs in Africa and share the products globally. So just to let you know, we have some of the largest reserves of raw materials, and we want a win-win partnership. Resources from Africa, human resource in Africa, technology, and financing from Europe. That becomes a collaboration, a win-win outcome. If you have raw materials in Africa and human capital in Africa, you have technology and financing from Europe or elsewhere, then that collaboration brings out a win-win outcome. So this evening, I want to encourage the private sector here that there are opportunities, and we are committed as an administration in Kenya to working with the private sector. We have made it our central pillar. The private sector in Kenya can tell you that every opportunity that we have that can be undertaken by the private sector, we do not waste time as the public sector. We get the private sector to do it. I will leave you with one phrase, finally. It is said that fortune favors the bold, but global markets reward the prepared. Kenya is not only bold, we are also prepared. So we want to work with you and see to it that we turn every interest, every intent, and every opportunity into something concrete for projects, programs.
Prego.
Buon pomeriggio a tutti, grazie di essere qui. Sono molto contenta di accogliere oggi a Palazzo Chigi il presidente William Ruto, il mio amico William Ruto, di aver avuto la possibilità di fare con lui il punto.
The possibility to really take stock of the situation in terms of the cooperation that links together Italy and Kenya, and the opportunities that we have to make our cooperation even stronger.
Difficult decisions.
Truth and fairness, and the courage to build bridges across every difference of faith, opinion, and background. Bless our president and his team, and all who serve our nation in different capacities, that they may lead with integrity, wisdom, and compassion. Bless every Kenyan, near and far, with opportunity, dignity, and hope. May the work of our hands and the mission of the president in this state visit bear fruits, and may our nation continue to flourish in unity and strength. We ask this In the mighty name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Thank you, Father. At this juncture, I wish to invite His Excellency Ambassador Frederick Matwana, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary to the Republic of Italy. Karibu Balozi.
Hamjambo wa Kenya. Hamjambo tena. Thank you very much. Your Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, Cabinet Secretaries amongst us, Principal Secretaries amongst us, our dear Kenyan diaspora in Italy, and friends of Kenya amongst us. I have the honor and privilege to welcome you to this very auspicious moment where the government of Kenya, led by His Excellency the President, is available to engage with the Kenyan diaspora in Italy. I want to first of all thank each and every one of you for taking your time to be with us here now and today. Your decision to be here is an indication of your enduring love for your country and your commitment to the sense of community even as you are away from home. Your Excellency, in my simple definition, this event serves many purposes, but I'll mention only two. One, Your Excellency, your presence here is an indication of your commitment to strengthen our bilateral relations between Kenya and Italy. And more importantly, your commitment to deepen engagement with Kenyans in diaspora, and in particular, the Kenyans in Italy. For me, that is very important, and I thank you very much for that. I cannot overemphasize the importance of the diaspora for the Kenyan government. We always talk about the remittances, but we know the importance of Kenyan diaspora goes beyond this. You are our ambassadors for our culture, for our innovation and resilience as a nation. When people see the Kenyan diaspora, they see who Kenya is. You build bridges between our host country and our people and our government of Kenya. And more so, you show the best of who Kenya is. And thank you so much for this. In this room, Your Excellency, the Kenyan diaspora in Italy are in several categories. And as you can see, we have Kenyan diaspora who work with the UN organizations and other international organizations in Italy and in Rome. We have Kenyans who are affiliated to the church, and it's a fairly good community. We have Kenyans who are working in various other sectors of the economy in Italy. And of course, we have Kenyans who live in Italy on family arrangements, and all of them we appreciate. Your Excellency, amongst us, we have stakeholders and partners who normally support our diaspora engagement. The presence of these partners is a demonstration of how the diaspora is a strategic partnership for investment, innovation, and our national development. Today is your day, Your Excellency, to engage with the diaspora, so I will not take long. And allow me to invite one of our strategic partners to make a few remarks. And in this respect, I would like to invite Dr. James Mwangi, the CEO of Equity Fund, who is our partner and sponsor of this event. Dr. Mwangi.
Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Prime Cabinet Secretary, Ministers, Cabinet Ministers, President, President, fellow Kenyans, thank you very much. Fellow Kenyans, it's really a privilege and an honor to serve Kenyans. Your Excellency, I want to report the enormous support that we have received from my embassy here. And Your Excellency, when we were in Safari Park, you heard us mention, today we signed an agreement that I was in this city just 4 weeks ago to negotiate. And every step along the way, His Excellency, the Ambassador, held our hand. Yeah, in another 2 weeks, we'll be back in this city to sign another agreement with IFA. This demonstrates how our embassies are working with the private sector to make it happen. But Your Excellency, the Ambassador has emphasized how much you are investing in creating bilateral relationships. But deepening those relationships needs to be commercialized and monetized. And that's where equity comes to help Kenyans. The agreement we are signing, Your Excellency, today of $40 million is to allow Kenyans to exploit the bilateral relationship, particularly in the leather industry and coffee, and primarily the small and medium enterprises. So I want to extend this invitation to Kenyans that this relationship between Italy and Kenya can only be monetized and commercialized if we agree to take responsibility for the trade opportunities. We need to populate the entire ecosystem. For us in Equity, we felt the best thing we could do was to build a stable ecosystem and a stable value chain. So we are working together with Italian Development Bank to ensure funds flow from the manufacturers and to the producers in our markets. But as we need to be in between to be able to ensure that flow. Lastly, Your Excellency, is to say we are extending this also to make the agreement that Kenya has signed with the European Union count. It will only count if our goods and services comes to Europe. Otherwise, it will remain just an agreement. I want once again to invite you to join our country in operationalizing the agreements it's signing, particularly in the space of trade. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you, Dr. James Mwangi. I now wish to invite the chair of the Kenyan diaspora in Italy, Mr. Kevin Rolex Onyango. Rolex, please.
Good evening, Your Excellency, PSS, Cabinet Secretaries, all protocols observed. Asanteni sana for being here. I'm Rolex Onyango, the Kedita Chairman, and I'm so grateful to the President to be able to give us this moment to come to us and share with us all, and we share with you what we have as a diaspora. Asante sana. We say thank you and karibu.
Sorry, Mr. Rolex. Kindly let me take this opportunity to invite PS Roslyn Njoku, the Principal Secretary for Diaspora Affairs, Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs. PS.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't intend to fall and become a member of the diaspora in distress here in Italy. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Mawaziri wengine, PSs, Kenyans in diaspora, habari zenu. I am very well. Leonie Lesiku, I'm very excited to be here, Your Excellency. Today, we want to shake things up a little bit. I will not give remarks. I will not speak much. I want our work to speak for us, please.
Mark this, as a result of what they have done in the last 3 years, 540,000 Kenyans have already jobs abroad. And our remittance from abroad has increased by $1 billion. On matters diaspora, and given the immense opportunities being created through what I've just discussed, and working closely with the State Department of Diaspora Affairs, you should give it focus. We are appealing to expanding new markets or expanding into new markets and new territories.
This initiative aims to ascertain the number of Kenyans in those countries because many do not go through regular channels and they do not register with our nearest mission required. At this stage, we would also like to discourage Kenyans from traveling to countries that are experiencing this conflict of time. I also wish to assure you that the government of Kenya shall remain closely appraised of the development of Middle East and is committed to protecting citizens across the world.
This bomb to affect huku, but we thank God that the government has come to rescue us, so we are excited to go back home.
They witnessed a lot of bombing and they have a lot of trauma.
Kusema kweli tumefurahia kufikiria kufika nyumbani, tumetoka mbali, na kwenye tumekuwa tuseme tumemkono wa Mungu tu kuwa juu, tumeona mchanga ya nyumbani.
Tunataka kushukuru sana State Department ya Diaspora, ya Ministry of Foreign Affairs for all the facilitation in conjunction with the embassy in Tehran.
Now we will see the second group that has arrived today, which is about 8 Kenyans and earlier in the morning we received another group. So the government of the Republic of Kenya has successfully repatriated hundreds of Kenyans who were trafficked to scam compounds in Myanmar for forced criminal activities. Also here at the JKIA done pretty much checks to ensure that people who are traveling on the drive of labor mobility are actually going on work visas and to ensure that they're actually traveling for work. Upon arrival, these survivors are going to be debriefed, they're going to be offered counseling services, they're going to be treated, those who require treatment.
Thank you very much for that, Manuel. Your Excellency, in 3 years, we've been able to do quite a bit to support the 4 million Kenyans who live and work abroad. And today we are looking forward to hearing your vision and what it is that you want us to continue to do for Kenyans, both at home and here in the diaspora. Without further ado, Your Excellency, I'd like now to invite my Waziri, the Principal Prime Cabinet Secretary and the Minister for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, Honorable Musalia Mudavadi. Please come and after that, take over the program.
Wakenya hoi! Wakenya hoi! Wakenya hoi! Ala, kumbe mnajua. Asante. Your Excellency, the President, I'll also just take 2 minutes so that you can have ample time. We speak to you more often, but this is a good opportunity for the Kenyans here to interact with you and hear you. But let me take this moment to just acknowledge the presence of the Minister for Trade, Honorable Nyagui, the Minister for Environment, Honorable Deborah Baraza, the Minister for Water, Muga. We had the Minister for Energy Wandai, but I think he's stepped out. The Principal Secretary is present, please. That is the Conquana of Industry, the Solicitor General, Mose, the owner of the function, thank you, Nyogu, PS Treasury, PS Abubakar. Thank you. And of course, the rest, please bear with me. That is representative enough. Your Excellency, I just want to say that apart from having set up the Department of Diaspora, I think it's also important, since we are here, for me to actually thank you, because not too long ago, you approved for the first time in Kenya's history to have a representative of Kenya and the Vatican. This has been long overdue, but you saw it fit, and somebody was named to this mission at the Holy See, and we want to thank you, because that will be another Kenyan in the midst, working with the many Kenyans that are present here. Finally, let me thank my good friend, James Mwangi, for standing out to partner with us in the Diaspora Department. We appreciate your gesture. Thank you for the embassy missions who are here, staff, ambassador. Are there any others? If you're here, just stand up so that we can acknowledge you. Thank you for doing a good job and for keeping Kenya's flag flying. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my honor to invite His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya to address us, and if time allows, he will let us know what he would like us to do. But in this context, all I want to say is that he speaks not just for Kenya, he speaks for Africa. The President of Kenya is the champion for the African Union on matters climate change. He is the champion for African Union in matters of reform of the African Union. He is the champion of the African Union on matters of the Africa Continental Free Trade Initiative. He is equally the champion of ensuring that we can grow our capacity in pharmaceutical manufacturing on the African continent. Yes, he's loaded. Ladies and gentlemen, can we invite the business?
Thank you very much. Please, let's take our seats. Good evening, everybody. I'm Jambo. Mambo. Muko area. Hata mimi niko area. Kwanza, what language do we speak? Tuongee Kiswahili ama tuongee Kiingereza? Ati Italiano? Waheshimiwa mawaziri mlio hapa, ndugu principal secretaries na Wakenya wenzangu, mimi nimefurahi sana kufika hapa jioni ya leo. And in the interest of those who may not understand Kiswahili, I want to say how grateful I am to have this engagement with fellow citizens of the Republic of Kenya here in Rome. And looking at the numbers here, I didn't know that it was possible to have a rally in Rome. You know, Rome looked like it was far. But I think because of the growing diaspora community, not just here in Italy, but globally, we are very proud that when we find moments like this to share as people who come from one country to share matters to do with our motherland and all the other issues that are necessary for you who work in the diaspora. I am very proud of what I have seen the Department for Diaspora Affairs doing, and it validates the request that was made by Kenyans that it is correct to have a department or a ministry that engages Kenyans in the diaspora. I think that request was not in vain. It is now clear to me that the request that was made by the people of Kenya was right, and it was the correct thing to do. We will continue with the leadership of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to engage citizens like yourselves in the diaspora. And I must congratulate all of you for the contribution you're making to wherever it is that you work, but much more importantly, the contribution you're making to our country. As the Prime Cabinet Secretary has said, we have, I've just appointed an ambassador to the Holy See because of the importance of Vatican. We have many students here who go to college here. We have many priests, and recognizing that the church plays or played then and even now a very important part in nation building. It was just important that we deepen the relationship between Kenya and Vatican. And I'm very happy that shortly, in a couple of weeks, maybe a month or so, we will have a new ambassador here who will join you other Kenyans in Italy. Having said that, and I know we were supposed to do this event earlier, but the business forum went longer than any one of us expected. It was very well attended. I was actually very impressed with the attendance, the interest shown by business people, entrepreneurs, investors from Italy, from Europe, in Kenya is immense, and it validates our position as a country, as an investment destination, and all the things that we have done to make sure that Kenya continues to attract investment and to grow and to get people in the private sector to support our development as a country. I'm going to break this into just 3 things that I want to say. I want to give you a small report of what is going on in Kenya. I know you read a lot of stories in social media. Most of the stories in social media is not correct. Most of it is fake. Most of it is misinformation. 3/4 of it is disinformation. And so it's good to get a correct picture of where we are as a country. Number 2, I'm going to tell you why I'm here this particular time. And then I'm going to share with you where we want to go. Yes. So number 1, we have consolidated the place of Kenya. I am very proud of the progress that we have made. You know, when I made commitments to the people of Kenya during the campaign, many people thought I had overpromised. They actually told me as much. And some of them were sympathizing with me. In fact, I remember one bishop telling me, it's okay. You know, it's understandable that sometimes you make commitments for the sake of getting votes, but you must not keep all of them. You can you can leave the difficult ones. And I remember telling him, I intend to keep every commitment and promise I made. And I'm happy that we made progress. You know, our economy has done well in terms of real numbers. You know, I remember the first assignment when I came into office, the first assignment that was on my table was how to repay a $2 billion Eurobond. That was the biggest thing on my table. And everybody expected that Kenya was going to default, including the Secretary General of the UN. I remember Antonio Guterres telling me, so, Mr. President, what is going to happen when Kenya defaults? Not if. He said, when Kenya defaults, what's going to happen? And I remember telling Antonio Guterres that Kenya will not default. For those of you who follow trends, global trends, in the African continent in 2022, 6 countries were among the most indebted and everybody expected that they will default. Kenya was number 1, Ethiopia, Angola, Zambia, Ghana, and Chad. I can tell you 5 of those 6 defaulted. Kenya did not. And we just did not default. We made very difficult decisions, very difficult decisions. And so we cut down on our budgets, we reduced on our spending, we put on hold many projects, we stopped subsidies on unga, we stopped subsidies on fuel. And it was a difficult moment, but it was absolutely necessary. Today, you can see the difference, the sacrifices we made then. Today, our inflation, which was at 9%, is now at 4%. Our exchange rate, which had gone all the way up to 160, is now, for the last 2 years, is at 129. Interest rates that were, James Mwangi will tell you, they were going towards 20-something%. Now interest rates are cooling off around 14. And in fact, the 91 treasury bills that were at 16% are now at 8%. It's now 7.4. I was just being, the treasury man here is telling me it's actually 7.4, down from 16%. So our economy is now fairly stable. We can count on it. And we continue to do what we must do. I know because of the fuel crisis that has been occasioned by this war in the Middle East, there is a bit of disruption there, but we are trying to manage that disruption so that doesn't significantly affect our economy. But I can say with confidence that the sacrifices we made in 2022 are giving us results. Today, we have gained respect. The credit rating agencies that had put Kenya in a very difficult position, today, each one of them are now saying a different story. In fact, they are giving us, they are elevating our credit rating, Standard & Poor's and all the other credit rating agencies. That was my first assignment, to make sure that we have a stable economy, because if we do not have a stable economy, it is difficult to do anything else. I had to do another two very important things. I made a commitment that we are going to make access to credit, especially for the very bottom of our pyramid. I mean, maybe you may not know, but we had close to 7 million Kenyans who had been blacklisted in credit rating agencies, CRBs. We took a decisive step, negotiated with the telcos and all the lenders in that space, and we exited all the 7 million Kenyans. We transitioned them into the Hustler Fund space, and we saved them from being blacklisted in the credit rating bureaus. The second item we did was to build our own resources for the future, because as we think about the economy, those of you who are students of economy will know that investment is a function and a product of savings. If you do not have savings, you run a very high risk of not having any investments to make. So what did we do? We had originally changed the legal framework, but there was court issues. We sorted out the court issues. We changed the contribution structure at NSSF. And today, I can proudly tell you that our savings as a percentage of GDP is growing. NSSF for 60 years had saved 312 billion Kenya shillings. But in 2 years, because we have changed the contribution structure from 2023, we have moved resources in NSSF from 312 billion Kenya shillings to 670 billion today. Next year, we will have 1 trillion shillings savings in our NSSF. And I am very confident that in 5, 10, 15 years, we will be borrowing from our own resources rather than going to China and all the other places to borrow money. That is how countries are changed. You build your own reserves. What we have been doing all the years is to consume all the money we have, and then we go and borrow from those who know how to save. And we pay an arm and a leg for it. So that you know, for all the money we borrow from all over the place, what percentage of our revenues are used to service debt, almost. Yes, so you see, we spend quite a chunk of our resources to service foreign debt. So it is very important that we rethink who we borrow from, whether we should borrow or whether we should save our own resources and use a different development model to grow our country and to develop public infrastructure. It is the reason why in our manifesto, we said we are going to have the National Infrastructure Fund, which is going to give us a different model of developing our country. And I'm very proud that finally we have a law that is the National Infrastructure Fund. I will tell you shortly how that works. Number two, we had to sort out agriculture. You know, for those of you who remember, in 2022, there were too many people in the streets with prayers in their heads talking about unga and the unga prices that time. The unga prices were around 250 shillings to 2 kilogram bags, a 2 kilogram bag of unga. We've since worked on the agriculture sector, and we've done 4 things that are significant. Number one, we have changed the model from subsidizing consumption to supporting production. So instead of subsidizing unga, we subsidize fertilizer. Makes a whole difference. So we reduced the cost of fertilizer from about 7,000 shillings a 50 kilogram bag to now 2,500. And we have seen tremendous growth in production, whether it is coffee, tea, maize, wheat, sugarcane. We've seen exponential growth in production. Just to give you an example, we were producing about between 40 and 43, 44 million bags of maize. Last year, we produced 70 million bags. This year, we are on course to produce between 75 and 80 million bags, because we are putting our subsidies in the right place. I remember having a conversation with the World Bank when they came to ask me, Mr. President, why are you subsidizing fertilizer? It is not the right thing. I told them, you know, it makes the difference between us being able to produce more and keep our streets less noisy, or producing less. In fact, they were trying to persuade me that, oh, you know, okay, you can subsidize for the small farmers, but the commercial farmers, you should not. But then I told them, look, who produces for the common mwananchi? It is not the small-scale farmers. The small-scale farmers produce to eat. It is the large-scale farmers that produce for our people living in towns. So if you don't subsidize that commercial farmer, you will not have food for the people living in Nairobi, in Kibra, and all the other places. So we finally agreed that what we were doing was the right thing. Number two, we decided that we are going to get rid of all the brokers and cartels and conmen in our farming ecosystem. There were people there mismanaging our fertilizer. We got rid of them. There were others, we gave them jobs to sell fertilizer. They went and sold stones. They were chased. We had people for those of you who come from the sugar belt, we had, you know, chronic characters there who mismanaged the whole sugar industry. We got rid of them. For those of you who are in the coffee sector, we had characters who were in the coffee sector. who had monopolized and created a big cartel. One person has a license to be a farmer. He also has a license to be a miller. He also has a license to be a broker. He also buys at the Nairobi Coffee Exchange. He has a license, one person. So we got rid of that, and we said you can only have one license. And the difference is there for all of us to see. Whereas, so we got rid of the cartels. We got rid of the consumption subsidies and instead facilitated fertilizer subsidy to facilitate production. And there is a big difference in the agricultural sector. We're producing more maize, we're producing more tea, we're producing more coffee, we're producing more sugarcane. And just because of the reforms we have carried out in the agricultural sector, our sugar production has gone up from 500,000 metric tons to 815 metric tons last year. And those COMESA safeguards we have been chasing for 20 years. I can tell you, in another 2-3 years, Kenya will be a net exporter of sugar. 2 3 years. We've licensed 5 new sugar companies and mills because and I'm happy that the fellow licensing is sitting right at the corner there. 5 new companies. And that whole sugar sector is changing. For those of you who know about coffee, coffee was selling at 50 shillings a kilo in 2022. Today, it is selling at 120, 140, 160. And part of the reason why I am here is for us to agree on how we take that up. We can double the prices of coffee. We can move it from 160 to 300 per kilo if we do it right. That is already, ask any farmer what the price of coffee is today in Kenya per kilo. So we've changed that. Our milk people are in good space. Our tea people are in good place. And we decided a third thing to do is to open new markets. We've just concluded and signed off with Lee here, the Chinese market for our tea, our coffee, our avocados, our macadamia, our agricultural products. Now we have a new market of close to 1 billion people. And already the first consignment left Nairobi, and we are looking at how to make that better. We've signed off the CEPA with UAE. We are negotiating almost at the tail end with the American market. When are we concluding, Lee? Shortly? Yeah, after this war, or this war. This war has come with many problems. So, so we want to expand into new markets and see and improve our product. Then number 3 is was the assignment to correct the challenges we have in our education sector. We had 3 significant challenges in our education sector, actually 4. 1, we had CBC that brought many complications to teachers and parents, and most parents were complaining that they were being made to work at night by their kids, or you have been told to make a car, so they were cutting boxes at night to make the car for tomorrow morning. And many parents did not like that. I wish there were parents like the ones who are sitting here. You know what it means to have a kid. You have to follow what they are doing in schools, in you. Yes. But back at home, the kids belong to the teacher and the school. So we had a challenge with the number of teachers. We had a challenge with the classrooms, and we had a challenge with the funding model for our university and TVET institutions. Those were the 4 significant challenges that we were faced with. I can confidently tell you we've sorted out all of them. Number 1, we've straightened the CBC. We now have competence-based education and training. We have worked with the stakeholders. We had more meetings. We engaged the stakeholders. We engaged teachers. And that problem is now being sorted. Number 2, we've hired the largest number of teachers ever hired by any administration. We have hired 100,000 teachers. You know, we used to hire 5,000 teachers per year. 5,000 per year. In 3 years, we have hired 100,000. So the 100,000 teachers we have hired, if we hired in the pace at which we used to hire, it will take us 20 years. And we are scheduled to hire another maybe 16 or 20,000 teachers before the end of this year. Just to make sure that every child in school has what it takes to learn. We've also built, I want to thank our partners, working with the World Bank and other partners. We've built 23,000 new classrooms to accommodate more students, specifically in Nairobi. You know, many of you may not know, Nairobi being the capital city of Kenya, has one of the most serious challenges of learning spaces in Kenya. Nairobi, the city, especially in the informal settlements. So we've tried to sort that out. In fact, I had to provide an extra 1 billion shillings beyond CDF to just take care of Nairobi learning infrastructure. Number 3, we changed the funding model. The funding model that was there was not working. In fact, for those of you who follow university education, in 2022, we had 23 universities who were declared technically insolvent. They could not pay salaries. They could not pay suppliers. They could not pay statutory deductions, NSSF, and all the others. We've changed the funding model. We've increased our budget for education from about 500 billion in 2021, 2022 to 702 billion last year. And in the coming year, we are proposing a budget of 765 billion. Again, to make sure that education does not become a privilege for those who can afford, rather it becomes a right for every child in Kenya. We have also, the 4th or 5th assignment was to sort out healthcare. I made a commitment to the people of Kenya that we were going to sort out healthcare because it was not working. NHIF was a privileged club. Those who can afford, those who have jobs, those are the people who got into NHIF. And it was just between 7 and 8 million Kenyans who could access. It took us almost 2 years of, trying to figure out, because this NHIF thing, we had tried twice and failed. Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, when he was Minister for Health under the Grand Coalition, or that government tried, it didn't work out. It collapsed. We tried as Jubilee. In fact, among the big 4 in Jubilee, one of them was universal health coverage. And we didn't succeed. In fact, we ran a pilot in 4 counties. We ran a pilot in Kisumu, I think it was Nyeri, Machakos, and Isiolo. And that pilot actually failed. And it was declared it has failed. So, but I always knew that this was something doable and it was the right thing to do, because the statistics told us that close to 1 million Kenyans went below the poverty line because of hospital bills, selling property, Harambes left, right, and center, and all the others. So finally, we got the template right, in my opinion. Instead of having one law under NHIF, we now have 5 pieces of legislation that underpin our healthcare provision. And we are making phenomenal progress. I'm very happy with it because we now have 30.6 million Kenyans registered under SHA, up from 7 or 8 million under NHIF. Today is Monday, right? Yes. Today, Monday in Kenya, we are paying 13 billion shillings to all our facilities from SHA today for just this month. Listen, NHIF used to collect about 28, 29 billion shillings every year. SHA, we are paying 13 billion shillings just in 1 month. There's a world of a difference, right? Because we have changed how people contribute. We have digitized the whole space. We have created a new framework. And if you listen carefully, today in every part of Kenya, there are testimonies of SHA paying for citizens. You will hear in that village, SHA paid 20,000, SHA paid 50,000, SHA paid 100,000, SHA paid 1 million, SHA paid 2 million. There is Harambes, WhatsApp groups to raise money for people in hospital are going down. And I want to tell you that in the coming year and a bit, we will completely forget about Harambes, people selling property, people selling their livestock to go and pay hospital bills. And that's the job of a year and a half, you know, that's just a job of a year and a half. So that space is going on well. There are still areas that we can improve on, and we are. And finally, let me mention something about jobs. You know, jobs is a big thing. You know, you go to every family, you go to every homestead. We have kids who finished Form 4. We have those who've come out of college. We've got those who have come out of university. And there is, you know, anxiety with parents. What do we do with children? And I remember saying that Waswahili wanasema ukiona vyaelea vimeundwa. There are no jobs that happen. They have to be created. And creating jobs has to be deliberate and intentional. You know? It's good to grow the economy. That's okay. You know, it's expected that when the economy grows, jobs become available. But that is not a straight line like that. You have to be deliberate about sectors of the economy that you stimulate because they have the potential to create more jobs than other sectors. And it is the reason why we have done 4 things. When I pushed for housing, many citizens, not citizens actually, leaders were asking me, who told you Kenyans need houses? Everybody has their home. Why are you obsessed with this housing thing? But you see, the irony is that in every manifesto of every political party, in the last 25 years, housing has always been a permanent feature. In the last election, housing was in the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto. Housing was in the Azimio Manifesto, complete with the percentages of how Kenyans should contribute. Because everybody knows that that is the right thing to do. But when it came to the doing, that is where the problem is. So I remember this, just for your information, today in our housing ecosystem, we have 640,000 Kenyans working. How many? 640,000. Engineers, architects, masons, carpenters, electricians, name them. All manner of people working there. If you go, for those of you who have not been home lately, Kenya is slowly turning into a construction site. You go to every part of Kenya, from Kisumu to Mombasa. By the way, on Sunday, on Saturday I was in a place called Banisa. Nyinyi mnajua mahali Banisa iko? Banisa is almost next to the border with Ethiopia in Mandera, up north. And I remember when I got into the car, I asked my driver there, okay, so how many kilometers is it to this place? He told me 1,090 kilometers from Nairobi. So, and in Banisa, I went to this place where we are doing a market and the police housing in the middle of nowhere. It's happening in Banisa. It is also happening in Homa Bay. It is happening in Kiambu. It is happening in every other. We have actually 210 sites of affordable housing. And we have 600 sites of markets going on. So what are we doing in housing? We are doing already 240,000 housing units up. We've started giving out keys. I gave out keys in Nairobi. I gave out keys in Kakamega. I gave out keys in Kapsabet. I gave out keys, I don't know where that else. And there, Machakos, and it's continuing. We have 600 markets going on, modern markets. And we have hostels for 180,000 college students in Tibet and in universities. And 600,000 people working. That was deliberate, it was intentional. But it was difficult. You know, that's how I became Zakayo. Oh, you know Zakayo. Zakayo. Because housing levy was something we had to, all right? But look at the transformation it's changing the skyline of Kenya. It is changing the skyline of Kenya. Go to Eldoret, my own hometown, and see. Is there anybody here from Eldoret? Yes. You should go to Apo Railway and Nawone Maneno Vile, or you go to Pioneer. Anybody here from Kisumu? You should go to Kisumu. I mean, Kisumu is, I went there and I couldn't believe it myself. 20th floor, you know, in Kisumu, and anywhere else. Go to Homa Bay, go to Migori, go to Kakamega. I just came from Kakamega the other day, and we are now doing the next 2,000 units right there in Amalemba, Abochini. We are doing the same in Makueni. There is anybody here from Makueni, go to Wote and see. Yeah? Or whatever, any town, go to Garissa. Anybody from Garissa here? Mutaona vile mambo iko. So we are changing the skyline of our country. Of course, the social media will tell you nothing is happening in Kenya. That's what the social media will tell you. And on and on and on and on. So that is one issue we are doing. Housing is giving us opportunity to create jobs and change our nation. That is what other countries have done. Number two, we decided that we are going to streamline this overseas employment story. And thanks to Rosalind and good friends at the Ministry of Labor, we had so many crooked, what are those companies called, those people? Private recruitment agencies, crooked people, you know, there. We registered close to 1,000 of them that were crooked. We have a bunch now that is left, and we are keeping close tabs on them. We have also simplified the process. We have reduced the time required to get a visa, to get a passport. We've scaled down on many other aspects. And that is why the numbers that were listed there. In the last 3 years, we have facilitated the employment of close to 543,000 Kenyans. And those numbers are growing. We have signed bilateral labor agreements to make sure that those Kenyans who work in those countries are protected. And we have a mechanism to make sure that we can get to them. We can repatriate them if we must, if there is a challenge. And you've seen the kind of work that has been done by the diaspora ministry. Whenever there are Kenyans in distress in any part of the world, we try to facilitate their way back home. And so that space around diaspora has not just increased numbers. With numbers, we've also increased remittances coming to Kenya. Number three, we have also expanded the space on digital jobs. We've created a better ecosystem to create opportunities for people to work. We're expanding the fiber infrastructure in Kenya, creating more ICT hubs, creating more G2M centers, and training more Kenyans on working online. We have also facilitated the coming into Kenya of more business process outsourcing companies. In fact, the largest business process outsourcing company in the world, called Teleperformer, now has a footprint in Kenya. And we are continuing to build that ecosystem so that we can create opportunities for Kenyans to work on the digital space. And as I talk to you today, we have close to 300,000 Kenyans working either in business process outsourcing, in G2M centers, in ICT hubs, both in public and private places, working online. And we continue to build that ecosystem. Remember, I said, if we have to create opportunities for work, it has to be intentional, it has to be deliberate. And that's what we are doing. I thought I should say that just to give you an understanding of where we are in Kenya. I guess that gives you a sample of the things we are doing and the change we want to make in our country. maybe the second issue I want to say is, why am I here this time around in Italy? If I can leave that one, if I can leave the status report for Kenya. I could say a bit more things, but I know we are conscious of time, and I can see we have kids in our midst, and they need to go sleep. I'm here this time around because we have business to do with friends here. We've come to sort out some of the projects that brought problems along the way. We had a project in Mwingi that developed complications. We came to sort it out. We had a project in Baringo called Kirandich. We came to sort it out. We had another project in Nakuru, Itare, which had problems. We came to sort it out. And I think we have agreed with the Italian government on a framework to sort out all those water projects that had challenges. That was assignment number 1. Assignment number 2, under our universal health coverage program, we're trying to get some hospitals to support our counties to elevate some of the hospitals to level 5 to provide a better healthcare delivery mechanism. We have, I think, hospitals in 17 counties, including 17 counties, including a level 6 facility in Mombasa, because we want to have an equivalent of Moi Teaching Referral, Mwai Kibaki facility in Nyeri, and the Kenyatta level 6. We want to have one facility like that in Mombasa. So we came to discuss that with the Italian government here. We have a proposal which they have looked at, and I think we have also agreed on how to take that forward. Number 3, we came here to look at our education system. As I told you, we have some of the best human capital anywhere in the world. Kenyans. Our education is good. Our English is good. Yes. We speak some of the best English in the world. Yeah, that is true. If you listen to a Nigerian speaking, you don't know what. You don't know. You need a translator. Even when they are speaking English, Ama. So we've some of the best human capital anywhere in the world, and we just need to sharpen it with more training, and that is why we came to discuss here 2 things. Something that I very strongly believe in, that we need as a country. We have good knowledge and education, but we need to sharpen our knowledge in science, technology, and innovation. If we have to move our country to a first world, we need knowledge. We need sharper knowledge. That is what other countries have done. We need to develop a higher caliber of professionals to undertake and underwrite our development. It is my belief that a country can only grow to the extent of how they can think. You cannot grow more than you can think. You cannot develop. Yeah. So we need a much more solid body of knowledge for us to take Kenya to the next level. So that's the conversation we had. We've signed an agreement with Italy to develop the space around science, technology, and innovation. And secondly, we've come to look at equipment for our technical TVET institutions. We have 60 TVETs that we need to elevate the training, especially on technical skills. And we've come to negotiate a facility to provide some of the Italian equipment for training. And then number 3 and number 4, we have come to discuss another 2 important subjects, that is leather and coffee, to develop those value chains. Why? Number 1, we have some of the best coffee in the world. We need to do more. We're doing 50,000 metric tons now. We believe we can do up to 200,000 coffee. In Kenya, there is a coffee grade, there is a coffee, momentum that is peaking. I found my mother growing coffee. We used not to grow coffee where I come from. But when I went home, I found my mother has grown coffee, and I was asking her, what is the story? He told me, but everybody else is growing coffee around here. So there is a coffee, thing happening in Kenya. Minister Oparanya and the other teams in that sector are pushing it. I think the good prices is also fueling people to think about coffee. So we've come to discuss here a facility to help us do more, improve on the coffee value chain. Number 2, leather. Why leather? We have the 3rd largest livestock herd in the African continent, which means we have the raw material. And we only need the best technology. And this country has some of the best technology in leather. Therefore, we have come to discuss that as well. And I think we have agreed on how that is going to move forward. We've agreed on a facility that will improve on what we are doing in Karioko. We have a common user facility. That is why PS Mufana is here, and my good friend Lee is here to discuss that, the people in the trade space. And so those are some of the assignments we came to discuss with our colleagues here. We've also discussed, we came to sign off some small grants here and there. We have a grant for restoration of Cherangani Forest. We have a grant for some ASAL areas. We have a grant for some gender issues. And we are discussing a grant for a small, a good water project in Taita Taveta, a place called Lumi. Do we have anybody from Taita Taveta here? County? You come from Taita Taveta? Great. Yes, there's a place after Matate called Lumi. There, we have a water project there we are working on, and we've gotten a small facility of about 700 million to be able to undertake that project. So these are some of the things that we came to discuss with the government here, and we've gotten a very good response. It so happens that Prime Minister Meloni is a good friend of mine. The President Mattarella is a very good friend of mine, and we've got good engagements there. There are another couple of, what was the other thing? I think those are the things. There is another 2 or 3 things that, there is something on ICS, which we've left somewhere hanging. But we've really, I think we've done a good job, and we have earned our salary. At least today we And thanks to Mwangi and all the other people, they have signed off some money to come to Kenya to support all those. Whenever nowadays whenever I go out to these state visits and official visits, we remember to carry the private sector with us so that they can also find their counterparts, because the private sector plays a very significant role in how to take the country forward. Finally, is the future. Yes. What is the future? Where is the future? You know, because you see, listen, friends, the future is very important. You know, we have done everything that we have done. We have stabilized the economy. We've sorted out our agriculture. We can do more. We've sorted out universal health coverage. We're creating jobs in the space around us, digital jobs, jobs in the housing markets, and all that. But we can do more. We can and must do more. And this is how I see the future. There are 3 things we must do, beginning now. 3. Number 1, we must generate more energy. We do not have enough energy in Kenya. Yeah? Mumesikia power. Mesikia rafiki yangu mmoja amesema hatuwezi kukaa bila. So we need to generate minimum at least 10,000 megawatts of energy. Why? Listen, my good friends. Today we have in our grid 3,300 megawatts. You know, and if you stable, you know, installed capacity is 2,000, maybe 400, 500. On some occasions, we have to do load shedding because our peak sometimes exceeds the energy available. So we have to shut off some areas. That is the wrong thing to do. You can never develop without energy. You can never. So we need to generate 10,000 megawatts of energy. We have geothermal resources, we have wind resources, we have solar energy resources, we have nuclear energy resources, which we must develop. In fact, I've just excused Minister Opio and I because he's meeting one of our investors called Eni from here. Who is working with us in Menengai. We've just given them a facility in Menengai to look at the opportunity to invest in our geothermal resources. So we have to generate 10,000 megawatts of energy at the very minimum. That requires about between 10, 12, maybe $13 billion to do. Number 2, we have to escalate our transport infrastructure. You go to any part of Kenya, people are still complaining, barabara hiendi nyumbani bado iko matope. Barabara is a problem. We still have a problem ya barabara. We do not have enough road infrastructure. I remember when we came into office with President Uhuru, we rolled out a 10,000 kilometer road program. We managed to do about 6,000. I am completing another 6,000. But we want to do 28,000 kilometers, new kilometers of tarmac. From independence up to now, we have done 20,000 kilometers of tarmac. I'm just telling Kenyans that it is good we have done 20,000. We are now, I'm completing by end of next year, another 6,000, so it will be 26,000. But we need to do another 28,000 kilometers of tarmac in the next 7 years, if we are serious. That is how we are going to cover all those roads that goes to all those villages. I go to any part of Kenya, the biggest problem Kenyans have in barabara. Senor? Yes, that's correct. And you see, we have to be deliberate. We cannot be discussing, oh, we are doing 10 kilometers here, we're doing 3 kilometers there, so you 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers. We just have to be bold and do what I have said. Let me give you an example. In 60 years, we have done 20,000 kilometers of tarmac, which is very good. And for your information, Kenya has the 3rd longest kilometers of paved road in Africa, behind South Africa and Nigeria. We are number 3 with 20,000 kilometers, which is very small, by the way. By comparison, Japan, which is smaller in area than Kenya, has 1 million kilometers of paved road. Do you know that there is a difference between 20,000 and 1 million? And the difference is not small. Sendio. So we are not talking about 1 million. We are saying let us add, let's double what we have fast. That requires about 1.6 trillion Kenya shillings. 1.6, 1.8. We have done the mathematics. Here, your energy requires about 1.5 trillion. And then we need to do a third thing. We need to move away, not move away. We have exhausted, kind of, the area we have that we can use rain-fed agriculture. We have almost exhausted. As you know, only 15% of Kenya is arid, is arable and has rain. Only 15%. 85% of Kenya is arid and semi-arid. 85%. So we've been feeding ourselves on just 15% of Kenya. It cannot sustain our population, and that is why we continue to be a hungry country. I just want to tell you there are still too many Kenyans who sleep hungry, and it is not right. We still have too many people who don't have enough food, and it is not right. You know, you don't know how dehumanizing it is for somebody to say, Mheshimiwa, mimi niko na njaa. No. It's very helpless. So we have to go into irrigation. That's why we need water storage, water harvesting. And yet, many of those areas in Kenya, they are very fertile. The only thing that is not there is water. And sometimes people confuse rain and water. What we need in northern Kenya is not rain, we need water. We need water. So wherever it rains, we should harvest it and make water available in all the other areas. That is what dams, water harvesting, water storage does. It gives us water to use in places where there is no rain. But we have enough rain, but we do not have enough water in those other areas. So we need to harvest the rain and take the water to those areas. So we need to, at least for us to stabilize our food security and create opportunity for us to tap into the export market, we need another 2.5 million acres of irrigation, 2.5 million acres. For us to do, we have estimated, if you speak to my PS Kimoto, in my PS corridor, they will tell you we need 50 mega dams, huge dams. Many of you have heard of, so in Koru, you have heard of High Grand Falls Dam, you have heard of Dawa, you have heard of Doshi, yeah, the PS for Water is here, the Minister for Water is here. All those dams, Waziri. So we have enough water. There is still a lot of water that goes into the Indian Ocean. The Indian Ocean does not need any water from Kenya. So we can harvest the whole of it, and the Indian Ocean will continue to be. So this is what we need to do. We need, we've discussed this. All the dams, by the way, they've always been in our books. You know, we know where the dams are. We know that they should be done, but there has to be a mechanism to make them happen. So that requires another almost 2 trillion shillings to do. So that's why I told the people of Kenya, we need 5 trillion to be able to get ourselves to the next level. And people thought I was not normal, but I am. Yes, we need 5 trillion Kenya shillings, and we are going to find it. We are going to do it. Not next year, we are starting this year. Yes. So we've started the process of getting the resources to do it. So, and with those three, we do those three, we need another 3 enablers. Number one, we need science, technology, innovation, number one. Number two, we need security. We have to invest in securing our country. And number three, we need to work on our governance to make sure that we deal with corruption, we deal with patriotism, and we begin to believe in ourselves. We begin to believe in our country. You know, there are so many unpatriotic Kenyans. They talk about Kenya as if they have a spare country. You know? So you demonize Kenya so that you do what? So that you belong where? Who is going to give you their country? You know? So we need to work on the software of all of us. We need to begin to think, you know, about our country in a much more positive way. So we have started the process of raising the money. We need to raise at least 500 billion Kenya shillings. Where are we going to raise? How are we going to raise 500 billion Kenya shillings? You know, and then we can then begin to. So the first thing we did, we have raised 100 billion shillings from the Kenya Pipeline IPO. We already have 100 in the bank. We have the money. And by the way, Kenya Pipeline has not left Kenya. It is still there. It is still buried in the soil, transporting fuel. But we have 100 billion shillings in the bank. We're going to raise another 250 billion in the next few months, maybe 1 month, 2 months. And I have ideas on how to raise the balance. Because somebody must take the right decisions, however tough, for our country. That is why I made the decision that I am not focused on the next election. That is not my focus. I am focused on transforming Kenya, whatever the consequences. That's my focus. I am focused on changing this country, and we will change it. Yes, we are changing Kenya. It's beginning to look different. Give me another 6 months, come to Nairobi, and you will see how Nairobi will have changed. 6 months by December this year. I went and addressed the County Assembly of Nairobi, and I told them some hard truths on how, there are many people who say they came to Kenya, but they actually came to Nairobi. And the impression they have of Kenya is what they saw in. If they saw garbage and dark streets and unpaved roads, that's the idea of what Kenya is. That's why we must reorganize Nairobi. I am putting in 80 billion shillings in Nairobi just to change it so that we can have the correct impression of Nairobi. So that is the future. We are beginning, we're going to have a new airport. We've just advertised for a new airport in Nairobi. We are going to use the money from the Kenya Pipeline IPO. And we'll use only 10 billion out of the 100. Tutaweka 10 billion hapo, tulete watu wengine wakusanye, tuende tufanye hiyo ingine, tujenge nini. Ile kitu inatakikana Kenya ni akili. That's all you need. Mnanielewa? Yes. And we are going to tutafanya maneno. Hii Kenya itabadilika hii. So that is how things are. That is the future. We're going to develop new infrastructure. We're going to generate energy. We've already figured out how that is going to. We're going to do dams. We already have 12 identified dams. Eric, with Kimodo, I already have a brief on the first 12 dams, and then we move the country forward. Don't mind about the naysayers and the other people there. They are just talking. They do not have a plan. If you ask them, what is your plan? Ruto must go. How is that a plan? How is that? It is stupid. What is, I'm yet to hear them give us an alternative plan, There is none, You saw the other day when we had this challenge of war in the Middle East. And naturally, prices of oil products would go up. Everybody expected that. Not in Kenya, but everywhere. And then you hear somebody saying, oh, we should go and demonstrate. Really? How will a demonstration bring down the cost of oil products? Honestly, So we have we've done what we have had to do. We've stepped in. We've worked with our partners. We've talked to our suppliers. Luckily for us, we have, what we call a G2G framework that has helped us, stabilize supply, guarantee supply, and make sure that the prices are moderated at any one time. We've also deployed resources around subsidy, and we have stabilized that space. I was speaking yesterday, and many Kenyans ask, why are taxes on fuel higher in Kenya than in our neighbors? Legitimate question. This is the answer. Are taxes on fuel higher in Kenya than our neighbors? Yes. Why? Is the next question, right? It is because we decided as a country that we want to develop more road infrastructure. And that is why we have more road infrastructure. We have more roads, or more paved roads in Kenya. Kenya happens to be the third country with the highest kilometers of paved road. So have the higher taxation regime in Kenya given results? Yes. We are maintaining longer kilometers of tarmac in Kenya. We are building 6,000 kilometers as I talk to you here. In Uganda, from independence up to now, they have done 6,000 kilometers. We are doing 6,000 kilometers now in Kenya. Does that make a difference? You know, so we are a much more, ambitious country. We want to do more. We want to move our country more. That's why, and there's nothing that comes for free. The justification that we should be asking ourselves, are the higher taxes we are paying on fuel translating into outcomes in the road sector? That is the question we should be asking. And I can confidently tell you, yes. With more kilometers of tarmac, we are building more, we are maintaining what we have, and that is what happens in middle-income countries. If you want to compare Kenya, compare us with our peers in the middle-income space. You asked for me to talk to you, so I don't know whether you are still I don't know whether this is what you asked for, or you bargained for something else. But let me stop there and say, my good citizens, the people of the great country we all belong to, Kenya. I'm very proud to be in your midst this evening, to share my thoughts on what I think about our country and where we should be going and how we should get there. I just want to assure you that it is my intention to make sure that no part of Kenya is left behind. That is my intention, and it's my deliberate intention. And that we bring all the people of Kenya on board. No section, no community, no region should be left behind. It's possible for us to move together. It is possible for us to grow together. It is the right thing to do. And that is what I intend to do. And I'm very confident. And I am very optimistic about the future of our country. Very optimistic about the future of Kenya. Kenya is going places. And by the way, we have a great country. If I were asked whether I was to be born again, I would want to be born Kenyan. Okay, let me stop there. Asanteni sana. I don't know who wants to speak after me.
G means government to government. In an ideal situation, you'd have government bodies in the Middle East doing business with government bodies in Kenya. For the Middle East situation, it is the way it's supposed to be. The 3 companies selling oil to Kenya are our government owns. But in Kenya, we should have used the National Oil Corporation or the Kenya Pipeline Company, which are government owned. But instead, private companies were contracted to do G2G. These are profit-making companies. You know, ideally, if there were government bodies, they will not be making profit. So they are making profit. And that is what is adding to the cost of the fuel. And again, of course, there's a conflict of interest. These companies were not picked competitively. Very senior people, including the president, are part and parcel of these companies. So they sit down and decide the prices for profit. So they cannot make any decision in national interest. The decision is profit-oriented. It is individual interest, and that is where we have a problem. We are saying we need to open the importation of oil to market forces. Because when you open it to market forces, Kenyans will get value for money. Where there is competition, you always get a good deal because companies are competing, and therefore the lowest, the one, topping up the least profit will get the tender. So we are calling on William Ruto to put aside personal interests and put national interests ahead as president of Kenya. And he has to make a decision whether he wants to be president of Kenya or he wants to be a businessman. You cannot be both. Again, we have also called for the scrapping of the 16% VAT. It was 16, he scrapped up to 8, that is half. We are saying it's not enough. It cannot give sufficient relief to the people of Kenya. Again, we are calling on the removal of the 7 shillings fuel levy that was added. There before it was 18 shillings. It was put to 25. This 7 shillings has been used to for sectorization of loans that are hidden, and you have seen in IMF have called for the exposure of hidden loans. Loans are loans and they must be reflected in the book so that we know what is the level of indebtedness to this country. So we are having a challenge. I am told that fares have started going up by 20 shillings. Somebody called me yesterday from Rwaka to Nairobi. They were paying 80 shillings. Now it's 100 shillings. And I think the real impact of the increase will be felt in the next few days. And again, we also expect cost of consumer products to go up because most of these products are manufactured by equipment that is diesel driven. So it's a difficult situation for the country, but it is more complicated and untidy because of conflict of interest by the president and his cronies. If they had put national interest ahead of their personal interest, we will not be having the situation we are in.
I'd like us to go back a little bit when we started this conversation of the G2G and how it came about. And back then, of course, you're still in office. And when this conversation was happening in regards to the G2G and which companies will actually be in charge of receiving or rather doing the trade, were you part of that conversation?
No, I was not. I have said repeatedly that the Ruto administration is a one-man show. Everybody else is a flower girl. And that is why I could not last long, because I was elected by the people. And I have a mind of my own, and I'm a very principled leader as well. And I could not be part and parcel of the praise and worship choir. When we came into office, William Ruto appointed a team of advisors led by David D. These are the people who make decisions with